little boring. Representative Ocasio-Cortez, I can do math on progressive power. Let's hear what she had to say.
A leading member of the House Progressive Caucus. Welcome back to the show, Congresswoman. The vote on the bipartisan infrastructure framework didn't happen on Thursday because your side, the Progressives, stood firm. We're about to start a new week of negotiations. So, question, do you believe both these bills will still pass, or are we at risk of losing both of them? And would that be a price you're willing to pay?
Well, I do believe that both bills are going to pass, and I think that both bills, a big reason both bills are going to pass is because the American people supported an enormous caucus of 95 House progressives.
Guys, how many times have I fucking talked in depth about Joe Manchin and how Joe Manchin would be powerless and he would be a nobody if he was a Republican in West Virginia, which is why he has to maintain his presence as a Democrat in West Virginia, as the Democrat who can win a plus 35 red state like West Virginia as a senator. Okay? But Joe Manchin also has put in the fucking work. He's been a piece of shit in the trenches for a long period of time. He's been a fucking career politician. Okay? Kyrsten Sinema hasn't done that shit. You can't just fucking roll up, get a massive fucking gift from the Democratic administration that puts you all of a sudden in the forefront of the conversation as like a green senator who facilitated a fucking $1.5 trillion bipartisan bill and then turn around and blow it up. It literally doesn't make fucking sense. It does not make sense. Even if I put my fucking wonk hat on and think about this from the point of view of like what is she doing? Like, what are the reasons for why she would be doing this? It still doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense because like a one-term fucking green ass senator that blew up all of her fucking relationships in the Democratic Party by destroying their agenda is not going to get a fucking fat K Street job. You need to have connections for that. She doesn't have any of that shit. Okay? So either she literally is like doing this because she wants to do a one-off, okay? And she's like incredibly dumb. Like literally the dumbest fucking person. Like you could make so much more money if you shut the fuck up and stayed in the party for like, you know, a couple more fucking terms and like actually win your election. You could literally make an endless amount of money. It does not make sense. But the one thing I do know is that they need to be whipping her, okay? Like whipping her non-fucking stop. Threaten to remove her from all of her committee positions. Just like, the fuck is Dick Durbin doing? The fuck is Chuck Schumer doing? The fuck is Joe Biden doing? Okay? And get it fucking done. I do not care if it's right. I do not care if it's fucking okay to do. All I care about is this bare minimum $3.5 trillion fucking budget reconciliation act to go through the proper fucking channels. Okay? It's so insanely stupid. And the people saying authoritarian left, bro, there is no authoritarianism if we are forcing people to literally act out the desires of their constituents. That's not authoritarianism, dumbass. That's the opposite of authoritarianism. We currently live under this this oligarchic structure. So you think that like the government actually doing what it's supposed to, do what's right by the fucking citizens, is authoritarian. I don't care. This guy here, is he yelling at AOC? Why does he want to whip her? No, I'm talking about Kyrsten Sinema.
To defend these kinds of investments. Now, what I will say is that passing this so-called bipartisan infrastructure bill alone could and potentially will have net negative effects on climate. And on top of everything else, on top of the potential risk of not securing these generational and once-in-a-lifetime investments, the risk of doing harm to our climate right now is something that we cannot afford.
Yes, very well put. Congressman, I've been quite clear about the fact that we in the media have failed to accurately report on this bill as a $3.5 trillion package over 10 years. But your party has failed on the messaging too, hasn't it? Why don't Democrats refer to this as a $350 billion a year spending bill, just as they refer to our bloated defense budget as $700 billion a year and not $7 trillion over 10 years?
I wish we did. I wish we did.
Half these goobers don't know political lingo. They think you mean physically whip. Yeah, I don't mean physically whip. I'm talking about whipping votes.
I think that there's two factors for that. I think on one hand, you have very conservative Democrats and special interests that want to make this number sound very big and scary to more conservative and moderate voters. And on the other hand, you also have individuals who want to say that this is a big...
Well, you are not on board. You are all talk. What? 10-month subscriber. Here we fucking go, dude. No. Whip AOC instead, please. Oh my God, dude. Brain disease. Like, literal fucking brain disease. I've also fucking talked about AOC, like, being ridiculous politically when it came to the fucking Iron Dome bill, okay? So shut the fuck up. Whip her into what, dude? To, like, what? To advocate for less and to cut out fucking provisions for the $3.5 trillion bill? Like, is that what you're advocating for? What the fuck is wrong with Cosmic Binoculars? 10-month subscriber. Uh-oh, kidding. Oh, come on. Good joke, man.
You know, a big spending to tout, you know, how unprecedented it is and how exciting it is. But the fact of the matter is that what we're discussing right now, as you say, is $350 billion. And when you look down on, for example, you know, some of these conservatives that are trying to bring it down to the area of $1 trillion, or rather $1 trillion, that's $100 billion a year. That's the operating budget for New York City. And so imagine taking the yearly operating budget for New York City and trying to spread that all across the United States and act as though that is going to meaningfully change our lives. It's not. And that's why we have to make sure that we defend these investments.
So one of the very conservative members of your caucus, you referenced conservative Democrats, New Jersey House Democrat Josh Gottheimer, he says you're part of a small far-left faction.
Yeah, right, dude. You know who's the fucking small fraction? Gottheimer, dude. These motherfuckers are holding on for, like, SALT provisions, dude. They're such fucking psychotic baboons. Like, I hate them so much. They're literally just like, actually, we're gonna make sure that like 6 of our fucking friends are going to hold off on voting on this because you know, it's actually the far left that's like stopping it. It's like, shut the fuck up. No, that's not true. Okay. Guess what? The Progressive Caucus is significantly more powerful and significantly, well, maybe not more powerful, but like significantly better organized than these fucking dipshit, like, moderate centrists, okay? Whip them too!
That, quote, blocked the president's agenda. And yet the president seems to be siding with you guys who...
If those 6 friends were paying you millions, what do you mean?
Didn't endorse him in the primaries over Gottheimer and co. who did, which is kind of amusing to me. What is your response to Congressman Gottheimer?
Well, I do math, and 95, which is the number of House Democrats or House progressives, is larger than 9, which is the number of Democrats who signed on to a letter threatening to sink the entire reconciliation bill back in August, demanding this vote this week for an arbitrary reason. Even the president wasn't demanding a vote this week. And so, you know, I would wish that some of our folks were coming to the table the way that we are, but, you know, also tensions get high in legislating and negotiating. It's a natural part of the process, and I wish him well.
Another conservative Democrat who won't come to the table very explicitly, Senator Sinema of Arizona, is also out with a statement attacking your side for betraying the American people, engaging in stunts, she says. Arizona Democrats are upset with her, threatening her with a vote of no confidence. As someone who famously came to office having primaried an out-of-touch conservative Democrat from the left, should Sinema now be worried about a primary challenge come 2024? Do you think that needs to be talked about more as a way of reminding her that the pressure is on in an increasingly bluish state, Arizona?
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, I think ultimately that is always up to the folks right there in the state of Arizona. Are they happy with their leadership? You know, they're
not. The Arizona Democratic Party literally fucking voted no confidence in Kyrsten Sinema's, like, re-election. That's gonna happen in you know, way too far down the line for it to impact anything currently. But like 80% of Arizona Democrats said that they would literally fucking work against Kyrsten Sinema if she voted no on this bill, if she blew this fucking bill up. It's bullshit, dude. Yeah, in 2024. I know. It's so fucking far away. It doesn't matter right now.
Their most recent senator that they had just elected is more, is more progressive, fights very hard for working families. But that is ultimately up to the people of Arizona. It is a state that is increasingly Latino and Latina. It is a state where indigenous people really just showed up and organized.
Wow, she didn't say Latinx. Sorry, Sweaty. You're fucking canceled. Okay. No Latinx? Messed up, dude.
In incredible, remarkable ways for the presidential election. It is a place where working class populist politics is really taking off. And I think that, if you're home in Arizona, it's a question that you may want to raise.
We've talked Gottheimer in cinema. Let's talk Manchin, the third part of that puzzle. He's talked down to you in the past as a, quote, young lady on the left. And who literally talked down to a bunch of his constituents from his luxury houseboat in D.C. this past week. That was a symbol for us there, that image. As much as he likes to troll...
Dude, this was fucking insane. What's that cowboy hat wearing guy who's like, who says he's like autistic and stuff? Matthew Chapman or whatever, who was like, actually, the houseboat that he purchased was $200,000 or some shit. You know what I mean? Like... significantly cheaper. It's like, motherfucker, you think he doesn't have like a stable home? You think this is the only fucking thing he has? I wouldn't consider that to be a luxury yacht in the way that people are fucking talking about it. It's just about like, shut the fuck up, dude. Yeah, he got a fucking cushy ass deal for $200K. Guess what? He's paying taxes on it for a valuation of $700K. Chapman is Twitch chat in human form, yeah.
Though, he's kind of right, isn't he, Congresswoman, when he says Democrats are in this boat because your party didn't elect enough people to Congress in general last November, and especially people with your kind of views, progressives.
That same dude would say you bought a mansion. He literally did the Bernie has 3 mansions. Dude, that's the best part. That's the best part. That same motherfucker is like a massive advocate for like Bernie has 3 mansions, by the way. That seems a little excessive. Shut the fuck up! Fuck you! This is the people's houseboat. This is the typical working class member's houseboat. First of all, dude, red flag, okay? Red flag as fuck. If you're a senator and you have a houseboat, red flag, dude. What are you, a fucking divorced dad? That's like, trolling college campuses for pussy? Like, what are you doing? What is this? No. Houseboat, big red flag, okay? You can't. I'm sorry. You can't be a senator and have a fucking houseboat at the same time.
Didn't win enough elections. That's fair, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think the opposite is fair as well, right? In that you have the frustrations, perhaps on the left, that you have conservatives in the Senate that are blocking things like universal pre-K or free community college or expanding Medicare. But the same very much applies to these conservatives in the Senate. They are sending
the implication in the high seas, motherfucker. He literally goes up the river, okay? From West Virginia to fucking D.C. For those of you who don't know, you can actually apparently go up the river to D.C. So he like moves that shit from D.C. to fucking West Virginia. But like, there is no high seas there, okay? Like there is no high seas that Joe Manchin is tackling on the fucking rivers.
off, these very angry statements, but they could have elected more conservatives to the House of Representatives. But right now we have a caucus of 95 people who are holding strong because, frankly, the House of Representatives, it is not the undemocratic or as undemocratic of a body as the United States Senate is. And so as a result, it tends, and because our elections are every 2 years, it reflects the present moment of this country a little bit more quickly, I would say, and responsively.
They could have elected a...
Hasan was too busy for us these last few days, so he's bringing extra energy to today's stream. Dude, I've been like reading up on this shit, getting angry by myself, okay? I've been holding it in my fucking chest for like the past week. Having fun with friends is one thing, but I've been so fucking mad, dude, all this shit that is going on, I've just been malding off stream. Just malding by myself. So yes, I'm happy to be back and covering the fucking news.
A non-left Democrat to the White House. Oh, wait, they did. And he's not on their side. One last quick question before we take a break on this part of the interview. We're going to talk to you after the break as well. One last quick question on this. I hate asking this because I hate this abstract numbers debate. I know you do too. But people are wondering, would you accept less than 3.5 trillion? We're hearing a number like 2 trillion or 2.1 trillion. Is that in the realm of possibility for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez?
Well, you know, getting down.
The thing that fucking annoys me, by the way, about this particular dynamic currently is that, like, leftists on Twitter are still, like, fucking hyper-focusing on, like, her saying something like Joe Manchin is being, or Joe Biden is being very progressive. Like, they clip that and they go, oh my God, AOC, you're fucking controlled opposition, blah, blah, blah. Dude, shut up, okay? Shut the fuck up. Just please let this go through first, okay? And then you can just please, just back the Progressive Caucus for like 3 seconds. You don't give a fuck about electoralism anyway. You think it's fucking nonsensical. Like, let's just please get better roads. Please, just shut up. It's not like it matters. It's not like your voice matters. You're nothing, okay? We're all nothing. And it makes me so upset where it's like people are like, aha, I heard her say that I heard her say that Joe Biden is progressive. Like, it doesn't matter. I do not even care if she was like, Joe Biden is bringing about the fucking vanguard. Okay, the October Revolution is upon us, and Joe Biden, Joe Marxist-Leninist Biden is bringing it for us. If that's what it takes to fucking push this dumbass bill, dude, I'm fine with it. Okay, just shut up. Just shut up. Just hold the fuck up. Okay.
Down to the low twos, that is something that that's, I think, going to be quite difficult. But when it comes to this question of 3.5, you know, there is this matter where we do have these two holdouts in the Senate. This is a conversation for us to have. But again, it doesn't necessarily mean cutting back the scale of these investments. It could mean where we say, okay, yes, perhaps we do.
By the way, for those of you asking, I did cover her fucking crying on that dumbass fucking president vote. It was so stupid. It was like literally the worst fucking, it was the dumbest thing she could have done. It was so stupid. It was so performative. It was such bullshit. And also politically, it was so unsound. Like, what an incredibly politically unwise thing to do. Seriously.
Your infrastructure plan instead of a 10-year infrastructure plan. And that's where I think it's important to contextualize this number, because 3 trillion over 10 years is less per year than if we go 3 trillion over 5. And you can work with those numbers and have very ambitious policies if you do things like work on the timeline, or also Washington accounting is notoriously funny. How do you count a tax cut for working families, for example? Do you count that as lowered revenue or increased spending? And a lot of times that kind of accounting affects the top line without necessarily affecting the outcome of felt experience.
Just circling back to the funding debate that we were talking about before the break, Congress suddenly found $1 billion to give Israel for its Iron Dome missile defense system, which, to be clear to our viewers, is already fully funded. This was a $1 billion cherry on top. The majority of the squad, Cori Bush, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, Ayanna Pressley, voted against it.
Look, Mehdi might have some lib-ass takes from time to time, but when it comes to fucking Israel, dude, he's on it. He's usually on the ball. I mean, he will drop it from time to time, for sure, under a lot of pressure, but as far as like mainstream personalities goes, this is as far left as you're going to get while still maintaining a position of fucking MSNBC.
Jamal Bowman voted for it, and he told me on this show the other night it's because he wanted to represent his diverse constituents. You voted present, despite having criticized other House members in the past for voting present. I know you put out a statement addressing this, but can you just briefly explain to our viewers on MSNBC tonight why you voted that way? Because I'm sure you know you've come under a lot of criticism for that present vote, including from supporters of yours.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this was an extremely difficult vote. And I also think it's important that...
Why? Like, it literally isn't. It's not. It is such an easy vote to say no to. Like, it doesn't matter. It's going to get passed anyway. It's not a fucking difficult vote. It literally is not. You could have just voted no as well, by the way. For the people who think like I don't fucking criticize AOC, by the way, you're wrong. I talked about this extensively last week. I talked about this on my fucking podcast. Like, I've talked about this over and over again. So, you know. She's gonna cry again? Oh my God.
People are educated about the process of this vote. That Democratic leadership decided to fast track this funding. So when you want funding for preschool here in the United States, if you want funding for any sort of domestic priority, it must go through what feels like 80 different committee hearings, markups, etc. And here, just casually, $1 billion was fast-tracked, no committee markup. In fact, earlier that week, leadership attempted to kind of slip in an extra $1 billion into routine legislation, and I was part of the Democrats that helped to remove it because this is contentious. Now, what became very difficult during the course of the week was that my district is adjacent to Representative Bowman's, and this began to, frankly, just really become quite contentious in our community, in part due to...
Like, why? And you're a leader. Like, you're supposed to tell the people, like, why you're making these decisions. They fucking trust you. You already have enough clout on your district. People love you in your district. People love AOC in her district, which is why I always laugh whenever motherfuckers are like, AOC sucks. She's done nothing. Like, blah, 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 blah. Shut the fuck up, bitch. You've done nothing. You don't know anything. Okay? People fucking love AOC in her district. You know why? Because she's out there. Like, she's doing more for her own fucking district, whether it be organizing mutual aid or literally fucking listening to her constituents. Something as simple as like trying to allow people to recover from the devastating impacts of a fucking hurricane by personally going out there and helping people. Like, people fucking love her. Use that clout that you have cultivated and that you deserve in your community, okay, for some fucking good. To be like, listen, why the fuck are we giving the Iron Dome an additional $1 billion fucking dollars? That's psychotic. What the fuck? We've already given Israel so much goddamn money. What the fuck are we doing? That's why it's cowardly. AOC quietly does the work for her district. She does the work because she wants to help, not because to build clout. Yeah, like, that's why I always get fucking annoyed when people just like hyper focus on the bad shit she does, even though like I obviously fucking criticize her for the bad shit too. But I also see the good. I see the good, and she does a lot of good. I don't care. I don't care if you don't fucking like it. She didn't even vote against the law. It doesn't matter. That's what's fucking annoying. The present vote was so stupid.
To the disingenuous messaging that both parties were advancing. You are correct in that this funding was in addition to the already fully funded Iron Dome, but Democratic leadership decided to run with the narrative that this was, in fact, to vote against it was to defund the Iron Dome, which sent many of our constituents into a panic. They called this vote, they scheduled the vote 2 hours.
Is the argument that she did it because of imminent redistricting in New York hold any water? Then fucking talk about it. Then talk about it. Openly fucking state it, dude. Say it. Say it with your fucking chest. Openly state it. That you are being threatened internally by the Democratic Party with like redistricting. And then vote no. And then be like, I voted no. But it's fucking ridiculous that like this was so contentious internally.
They called the vote 2 hours after it was announced that it was scheduled, and that lack of timing created a very volatile environment back in the district. And so it's something that has been obviously very difficult, but the question, that is what happened that day.
Congresswoman, the question that a lot of people asked me to ask you this is, was it worth doing present? Because it didn't really satisfy anyone. The supporters of Israel are mad at you for not voting for it. Critics of Israel are mad at you for not voting against it. Do you regret that?
You know, it is something that I weigh because there's always the macro and then there's the micro. And in the macro of narrative, of politics, of national impact, you know, I probably should have just gone with my value. But in the macro, which would be to vote no. But in the micro, I do believe that this created a window in our community to be able to bring all folks to the table, because my great fear is that we are going to import the same sort.
God, this is so dumb. It's like, oh yeah, dude, we need to bring more fucking like pro-apartheid state voices to the table. I don't know why we don't have enough of that. Bro, you're a New York politician. Like, that's so silly. You're a New York politician. If there's anything that's being discussed at the New York table, it's literally just defending all matter of indefensible acts that the apartheid state of Israel engages in and unconditionally fucking offering support to that. It's insane. It's politician speak.
Of contention around this issue, and we can have a progressive movement that defends Palestinian human rights, that is Muslim, Christian, Jewish. So in the micro, I believe that it created a window of opportunity for us in the Bronx. But in the macro, it was very difficult, yes.
It passed 420 to 9. I think they have a voice, Lamau. Yeah, literally. Like, really, dude? Oh, man. It's like they really don't have a fucking voice. There's no voice, dude. It's wild. Who will speak out for the voiceless? The Israeli lobby. Oh, man, dude. Oh, thank God, from a macro point of view. I mean, look how little Jamal Bowman got. He got nothing. People should shit on Jamal Bowman too, but no one is. You know why? Because he just fucking voted yes. I'm always thinking how we can get more pro-Israel voices to the table in the United States Congress. The people who truly are not heard from in American government.
Just before we finish, on a lighter note than Israel-Palestine, my teenage daughter reminded me of this Instagram video that...
Okay, I don't